Hit me.
All right, ready? Number one is how do you balance life coaching and discipleship with your youth kids?
Well, I'm gonna be like on a soapbox for terminology. I just don't do life coaching. I do discipleship.
Amen.
They need more. And discipleship to me is a spirit. It's a heart. It's a lifestyle. Whereas life coaching is one session you pay an hour a month for somebody who doesn't really know nor care if you succeed. They just want to make sure you pay your bill in time and they keep it fresh. Whereas a disciple, when I'm discipling somebody, I want the best for your life. Now,
That's good.
way I balance it out as far as like discipleship, you can only disciple when people let you. Something Pastor Jim said yesterday at lunch. He said, only lead the people that will let you. Otherwise, you're going to waste your time. You're going to waste your energy. You're going to waste your talent. And I learned that lesson the hard way. When he said, I told Cody, I was like, dude, I've heard that, but not like that. Or I've lived that. And trust me, you're not going to, let me put it like this. Not everyone that comes in your ministry, your youth ministry, is going to be a son and daughter. They're just not. They're not going to turn into a disciple. Now, you might be the one that just plants the seed. You might be the one that waters the seed, but God's going to get the increase, right? You might be the one that reaped the harvest, but there was a lot of seeds and watering that went in. So discipleship is huge. It's intentional. And I always know when discipleship has reached a stalling point. When someone doesn't let me lead them, that's a stalling point. And I'll let them choose when they want to continue. But right now, I'm going to pause it. Or if I work on your life more than you work on your life,
Right.
that's called codependency, and I'm not doing that either.
Right.
So
That's good. That's good. All right. So dealing with inner city students, what are some tips how to reach them or to keep them busy?
I think with inner city, you're dealing with a lot of need. Like I have a friend who I think everybody should follow because I think he does the best job doing inner city. His name is Jeremy Donovan, and Jeremy's in like the hood in Dallas. Like I'm talking like he's taking he can go into the projects and he is untouched. Everybody knows you don't touch Pastor Jeremy because he's taking all of the pimps kids and all of the tricks kids, and he's taking all of these kids and bringing them to youth ministry. And many times that's the only meal they get a week.
Wow.
And it's just incredible what he does. The community loves him. But when you're dealing with inner city, you got to be funded to meet the needs. And the needs are not, they need a structure, and they need to eat.
Right.
Or they need clothes. Or they need shoes. I remember one time he told me about a lady that took off to be on Maury's Povich show because she attracts very well, and so a lot of people watch her reactions and stuff, and she didn't find a babysitter for the week. So she went, and Maury flew her out there, and she was there partying all week, and he paid her and all that. And who was watching the kids? The kids were watching themselves.
Wow.
Like that's, when I talk about inner city, that's what I mean by inner city. You're following me? So you're going to have to do a lot of need. You're going to have to spend a lot of time. Those kids don't have parents. Their parents got needle tracks in their arms. Their parents are servicing men as a prostitute in their living room while they're playing Xbox in their bedroom. If they might have stolen that Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just real. So meet a lot of needs, spend a lot of time, and then disciple greatness. You have to speak identity and greatness into that. So
That's good. Here's a good question. Inside of that, like, how much, because what I've seen even with us is it can be really, really frustrating going with the same kid, seeing no breakthrough.
we're in this for the long run.
Yeah.
I don't play, the ministry is not a short game.
Right.
Yeah.
This is lifelong. I mean, many of us, let's be honest, like we're in our churches and that's great, but had it not been for somebody when we were 12, had it not been for someone, like I think about my grandmother, who's not really blood related, but she adopted my mom in the 70s because she started a home for abused and neglected kids, and my mom and my aunt were the first two kids in that home.
Wow.
Had we not had their influence, I would not be a Christian today. Are you understanding? So even though I had a Pastor Josh Brown as a youth pastor, even though I had a Pastor Kevin who was my senior pastor as a youth pastor, even though I have Pastor Adam now, I love all of them. They've done a lot. They've built a lot in me. But Grandma Georgia,
Right.
timeless, priceless. And there are things that she's still alive to this day. There are things, I used to call her when I was a youth pastor, and I remember going, tell me how not to kill him. She's like, baby, I don't know. She's like, but kill one of them, and then just go ahead and move on. she was just like, but she would always remind me. She's like, are you in this for life? Are you in this for quick, like the quick growth? And it would just be a reminder. So, with that, to answer that, to give you context, that's what I'm saying. If you're in ministry, listen, this is not the best 5 years you can give to a generation, and then someone gives you a senior pastor opportunity.
Yeah,
It's true. Come on.
Amen.
You might be working with a generation for 20-something years. Hello? Are you following me? And there is nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Absolutely not. You never outgrow. Your calling doesn't have an expiration date.
Yeah.
So, whoever you're leading, lead well. Play the long run. Act like you're going to be in their life to the day you die.
Yeah.
That's what we do. It's good. All right. So this was really talking about transition, how to do it well. As a youth pastor, leader, how do you transition to a new church and continue operating without stepping on toes or going beyond? What's that like middle ground? How do you do it right?
Yeah.
With character.
So, with transition is always tricky because there's a lot of people involved, especially at the level that we lead. All of us in the room, okay? Not just me, I'm talking about everyone.
Yeah.
Because we affect a lot of lives. So when there's a lot of people involved, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of opinion. And so you have to be sure that you know you need to leave.
Yeah.
So let me say to you like this. Whenever I have men and women that come to me and say, hey, I feel a transition coming, I always tell them, okay, are you running from something or are you running to something? Because if you're running from, it's not time to leave. If you're running to, it's time to leave. And that'll should flesh out the motive right there. The second thing with transition, let's say that you are running to something. What I would say is you need to first go to your senior pastor. Aside from your family, okay, aside from your wife, your husband, okay, go to your senior pastor. This is what God is doing in my heart. Now, some senior pastors, it's brutal out there, right? It's a jungle out there. Someone will fire you on the spot. So you got to really know that you're supposed to be called, all right? But I would hope that most of them wouldn't. And they would say, okay, this is the journey. You need to walk into that meeting with an exit strategy. And I'm not talking about a 2-week crap-filled exit strategy. I'm talking about 6 months. Here's 3 people that could take over right now. You tell me which one, and I'll pour my life into them for 6 months, and I transition. Best transition times are in the summer, like June, July, or January, beginning of the year. Best transition times. Never transition in the middle of a school year. Don't do that. You'll kill your youth ministry, and you'll kill momentum. All right? Don't do that. Also, tell the board. Have a parents' meeting. Tell all the parents. And then tell the youth ministry. All right? Don't go and post stuff on social media until you have talked to everyone in your sphere of influence and reach and impact. Until they all know, you can't post a thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just went through a transition myself. I moved from Christ for the Nations. Now I lead Missions Me College. And we were in this conversation since July of last year. So I had 6 months. Thankfully, when you have this type of leadership structure, I didn't have to have 3. I already knew one, and I had raised him up so well that when I told the board and my oversight, hey, I feel like God's moving me, it was no-brainer. Oh, Micah's going to lead it.
Right.
So now Micah leads Youth for the Nations. It was no problem. Nothing's been missed. There's no like, man, we miss your touch, we miss your voice. There's none of that. I'm sure they miss me, but not for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Are you following me?
Right.
So there was that. I told all of our leadership team, after I talked to our board and our oversight, told all of our leadership team. Then I tell family everything first. I'm Hispanic, that's what we do, right? So I told all of that, and then I told our whole school, our whole team, because we had a staff of 125 people, all under the age of 25. So I've worked with this generation in a high capacity, all right? So we told them, and then I went public. That was a lot of time, a lot of key conversations, navigating through. This isn't like it sucks here, they've limited me, I can't stand this place, pastor's old school, doesn't appreciate there wasn't any of that. It was like, hey, I feel like the cloud is moving, the grace is lifting and setting me over here, and I want to be obedient, but at the same time, I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to run my race. I'm going to set things up. I mean, I was working on the budget of YFN December 20th. Still, 10 days before I was like, bye. I was in budget meetings. I was making decisions. I was helping book guest speakers. I was putting all our teams in order with Micah so that Micah could just step into a dream state situation and run.
Amen.
You don't go, like you may say, oh, well, let's say that, I'm transitioning in June, and you take half of April and the rest of May off mentally and you're checked out.
Right.
That's not right. That's not right. Don't let your leadership be so weak. You can't carry that.
Right.
And so, and then with the execution of it, go big. Go big. Get as many amens on it as possible. I had people on the video. You go look at our video, you can see it. I had talked about the Lindsays were a part of it. Christ for the Nation was a part of it. Missions, me, Pastor Adam, all our family. I mean, I named names. You go read the caption. I mean, we put it all out there. So there was nothing, watch this, there was nothing that could ever come back on us.
Yeah.
And then they did it publicly on all of our networks and put me on stage and did it in front of everybody. So it was seamless. It was honorable. And they blessed us out. I mean, they did such a good job. I felt like double honored. And when you give a decade of your life to a place and you build it to what it's at, and you're just part of the team, that's what I was just part of the team, but I had seniority, I had a lot of impact, a lot of growth, a lot of volume into what we did. I respect Christ for the Nations and the Lindsay family to another level, and I highly respected them already. So that's a nutshell version of that.
What about, let's say you get fired. What's that transition look like?
Mm-hmm.
What are some good steps to take?
Well, I think...
So I see that really ugly a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I would say that if you, let's say you go in and it doesn't turn out. Pastor, I feel like something's happening. Or you get called in and they fire you. Well, let me back up. If Pastor fires you after telling me, hey, this is my heart, then you do whatever you can to make sure everybody honors that pastor.
Amen.
Whether you like them or not.
Yes.
Because if I told you what happened to me, are we recording this?
We'll cut it.
Okay, I'll tell you at the
Got
end. Let me answer that at the end.
Okay.
Somebody remember that. Write that down.
Right.
I'm looking for my sister. All right. But I will answer that because I'll tell you my story and what we did when we transitioned. Because it was a bucket of suck. All right. Go ahead.
All right. How long do youth services, or what are some key components you should see in every youth service?
I think youth services depend on the region. I know most youth services typically hour 15, maybe an hour and a half. Depends on the region. It really does. I know some of us like to go 2.5 hours because you think the longer you're with together and all that, it's more powerful. That is stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just going to tell you right now, that's stupid. Man, we went all night. You burnt them out. Is what you did. No, and truth is, the only people who want longer services are people who don't do anything else all 6 days of the week. So that's the only reason they want longer services. The truth is, you can tell. The muscle was not our services, and that was fun. The muscle was this right here. This is all the lifeblood. This is all the grind here. The celebration, the rally, was just our service. So we were not going to be surfacey. We were going to have some depth. And so some people can only do an hour. Some people can do an hour and 15. Some people can do an hour and a half. Some regions do 2. That's awesome. I'm a fan of that hour 15, hour 30 spot. Because again, let's be honest, and I'm not limiting a generation because some people are like, no, this generation loves the word. But everybody has an attention span.
Yeah. Right.
Don't tell me that when Bishop was talking last night that you didn't check some highlight, your Instagram, your Twitter, that you didn't text somebody, that you didn't check your email. Don't tell me that. All of us did it. Shoot, he was right in front of me, and I'm sitting there going, trying to figure out which March Madness games I'm watching for the next week. All right? No disrespect. You understand what I'm telling you? That's the generation we live in. Y'all are looking at me like I'm stupid. No, would never do that. Y'all are a bunch of liars. So, you understand what I'm telling you? Like, hour 15, hour 30, like stuff that I would think, you got to have worship. No matter how good or bad it is, I told you my story. You need to have an offering. You need to do offering in your youth ministry. And it's not necessarily that the offering is going to carry the load of the youth ministry. These are young people, okay? All right? It's not going to carry the financial burden of the youth ministry. But you know what it is? It conditions their heart to tithe. so that when they get into an adult role and they start ending up in a local church, hopefully ours, but somebody else's, they already, tithing doesn't have to be discipled into them, they already know it.
Yep.
And so what we would do is, one of the things that we do, we taught tithe and we taught giving. And so every week, I told them, hey, bring your tithe once a month. Save your tithe. But giving, we're going to focus on these 3 other places. So we had 4 Wednesdays in a month. We had 3 different ministries that we were partnering with on a monthly basis. One of them was missions. We always did a missions one. One of them was like a local ministry, and the other one was maybe like a person or a movement or something like that we just sent our little money. You know, I was surprised. I think at one point, our little, like, at that point, we were like 40 people. I think they were bringing like $400.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It was incredible. But again, that's just the increase model. That's just tithing and giving and blessing. It was awesome. So offering, announcements. Please do video announcements. Oh my gosh, please do video announcements, because you get that. Now listen, you don't need to do the video announcements. Have a student do the video announcements, all right? Let them do video announcements, because you can control it. Because you ever had somebody go up there and do announcements and it's the most uncomfortable thing on the planet? Like, oh my gosh, get the mic away from their face. You know, like, it's bad. So offering, worship, offering, announcements, a solid word. I think a good preaching time, honestly, 25, 30 minutes for young people. Because I got to do a ton of the follow-up after the service. Where else am I going to do that? Right? I got to film all those videos. We got to capture everybody. Plus, I want to meet people. If you're ending your service to the point where parents are already waiting in the parking lot, you get 0 connection time with your students.
Yeah.
So what I did, let me tell you, as youth pastor, I did not wait in the service, hang out with the kids. I didn't even go to the cafe. I activated my leaders to do that. I was in the parking lot. And as parents came by, hey, who are you? Oh, you must be so-and-so's mom. Man, thanks for bringing, dude, we just love having her or him. They're amazing. You guys must live close then, huh? Yeah, oh my gosh. Do you know about our services on Sunday? Oh, you got to come here. I'd love to listen, I'm going to save you a seat this Sunday. Don't stand me up now. I mean, I'm telling, like, I was working that parking lot. That's where I was at. Every time. Every time. Rain, a little bit of snow. I can handle the cold. Just a little bit of snow. It didn't matter what conditions there were. I was in the parking lot. Because young people lead young people. So I activated my students to go do all of the connection, all that stuff. All I needed was, once I'm done in the parking lot, I'm getting in front of a camera, and I'm doing the little welcomes I told you I did on social media. That's it. So, there you go.
Awesome. All right, next question is about mentorship.
Cool.
Can you have more than one mentor? What do you look for in a mentor?
Okay. The answer to that question is yes, you can. I think I have different mentors for different things. But I have one spiritual father. I might have 2. There's nothing wrong with being over-mentored. All right, let's just be honest. There's nothing wrong with having a great amount of wisdom is found in a multitude. Are you following me? Of wisdom and counselors. So we need to be okay with mentors coming in different seasons, and being okay that there might be just an overlap or passing or somebody doubling up on you. But I have mentors. I have mentors that like I have one, like Pastor Adam has mentored me in a lot. Ministry, life, my marriage as a man. He is my spiritual father. But then I have Dean Eldridge, who helps me business decisions, structure decisions. Then I had someone like Carol Kane who mentored me in the prophetic and taught me how to prophesy and how to speak into lives and minister. Then I have theologian mentors. Like this is good practice. I send my message to 2 or 3 theologians before I ever preach it so they can poke holes in it. And what it does is when they poke holes in it, now you can't do this week to week, but I do this as a traveling minister because my voice is going to be all over the nation. I want to make sure I'm speaking accuracy. So I send it to 2 or 3 and they poke holes in it and then it comes back. You know what they do for me? They're like, this is so off. Here's what that really means. When they give me that, I'm like, oh, that's way better. I'll preach that. I mean, it's so, okay, let me give you for instance. I have a message called Born for the Storm. And it was talking about Peter walking on the water. And I was saying about, everybody has a message on that. If you don't have the message on that in David Goliath, you just don't preach, okay? I was struggling. I was trying to name the significance of him walking on water. Like, why water? Why would God choose water for Peter? Like, it could have been anything, right? Could have been walked off a mountain, literally. I mean, it could have been anything, right? He could have done, why water? And so I was trying to come up with this poor excuse, water this, water that, water the word, water this, the whole thing. And one of the theologians is like, oh yeah, you totally missed it there. So what are you talking about? He says, what you need to understand is the historical value is that to a fisherman in those days, they looked at water as an enemy because it determined how much fish they would catch. It didn't determine if they could feed their family and grow their business. So what Peter's point of view saw was not water. He saw that he was walking all over his enemy. Okay. Are you seeing what I'm telling you? All right. That is why. Yeah, go ahead and steal it. Go ahead. Come on, it's all of ours. Come on, that's all of ours. That's all. Take that. Preach that. All right. Yeah, that's right. I see a lot of people. Water. Water. All right. But and Peter needed to feel like what it was like to walk all over an enemy. That's a New Testament version of our life. We are more than conquerors, right? I'm walking all over and from glory to glory, from victory to victory. You've seen this? Well, I would never have gotten that if I didn't have theologians in my life. Are you following me? Because Pastor Adam ain't doing that for me, right? Because he's trying to build his own church. Are you seeing what I'm telling you? So you have fathers. I would say the top voices in your life should be fathers and mothers. Then I would say mentors. And then, honestly, I'm mentored by the guys I run with. And I wouldn't call them a mentor, but they influence my life. I'm grateful for a Dominic Russo, a Jedediah Thurner, a Gabe Bauhorn, a Matt Sheehan. I'm grateful for those guys. Because the five of us are what makes up the exec team of Missions Me and One Nation, One Day. And it takes a lot to do what we do, and there's an accountability level there. And they have every right to speak into my life and say, this is not going right, you could be better here. They have every right. And, hey, bro, you're killing it. Keep going. See a lot of vision there. We're going to get out your way. Go for it. You need that. What was the second half of that question? Can you have more than one?
What are you seeking for?
And what are some
things? Yeah.
As a youth pastor, I wanted a father to speak into me, not necessarily the ministry. If I can get a healthy me, I'll get a healthy ministry. So I need him to speak into me and my wife. Speak into us. Hold us accountable. Ask how my marriage is going. You know, Pastor Adam, almost every other week, he calls me and he asks me these 5 questions. Number 1, how's your marriage? How's your kids? How's your purity? How's your money? And what is God speaking to you? Every other week. How's your marriage? How's your family? How's your money? How's your purity? And what is God speaking to you? And I need that. I need that. And so I'm honest. And you know why? Listen, I don't have an insecure wife. I'm out of town a lot. A lot. Like I thought I was in Peru last week. It was like 4 days ago. I was in Peru, North Carolina, went home to California to celebrate my son's birthday, got on a plane, flew here. I'll be in Baltimore tomorrow, and then I go home on Saturday. I travel a lot. My wife's not insecure. She's not insecure about another woman ended up in my hotel room. Because she knows that phone call from Pastor Adam is coming. And she knows I won't lie to her, and I won't lie to him. She knows that. So guess who has a great wife? No marriage issues right now that I know about. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you ladies be sneaky. You like Jehovah's sneaky. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just come in out of nowhere and be like, I'm not happy. Well, what the crap? When did that happen? Like, I thought it was great. All right? So I need someone to speak into me. And then I get mentors. If I can, Pastor Adam's like an all-in-one for me. But I have him speak into the ministry. Hey, I'm really frustrated. I can't seem to grow leaders. What do I do? I'm really frustrated. I can't win my pastor's heart. What do I do? I'm really frustrated. We ain't got no money. What do I do? Right? So that's what I would do. Find it. There's no reason. There's no reason that you can't have that in your life. In fact, I've said such a need that I think that's why you have to be a part of the network. I'm only plugging this because it's so true for this area. Like a lot of people want to join the Circle, which is our mentorship group, and that's great. But why would you do that when you have something like this and community right here where you guys can war together? You understand what I'm telling you? Listen, I'm not saying I wouldn't take you. What I'm saying is, I don't want you to be like, well, he don't want us. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is a great first step.
Right.
And if you want another mentor, another voice in your life, you can do the Circle. But you got 2 rock stars right here who can really help you. Come on, they're further along than most people in this region.
That's good.
That's not by accident.
Right.
All right? So, there you go. Next question.
Awesome. Next question is this. When a kid stops coming to youth group, talk about that pursuit. How long? What are some things? What are some markers?
I think you just never stop pursuing. But again, not everybody's going to stay.
Yeah.
Your youth ministry is not for everybody. Just like every church is not for everybody. So don't take it personal if they don't come back.
Yeah.
Right.
I take it personal if it's been 3 years and then they leave for no reason
Right.
and they don't come back. Then I'm ticked. Then I'm like knocking on their door like, what the heck? Because something happened. And most of the time it was a misunderstanding or miscommunication.
Right.
And it just takes that face-to-face, loving, please go buy Limitless Influence, okay? Please go buy it, all right? It takes a loving confrontation.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
We have it and it's great. Buy it. It's worth every
I'm telling
penny.
you.
I sat there, watched the video, filled out the thing.
Yeah.
It's great. We stole the heck out of it.
Yeah, I do it. Because what we want you to have is language. Empower young people. Disciple. Do confrontation. That's discipleship. And you can do it. I mean, when I confront people, most of the time they have no idea I'm confronting them. That's kingdom, right? I'm just listen, we taught our students that correction is not an indictment, it's an investment.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. All right? So, but when they do leave, it's hard. I'm not going to say, we wear that heavy. Because we pray, we contend for every student. But not everybody's going to be there. So, with you for not everybody's going to be there with you for a long time. So, I think if you want strategy, like practicals, I think reach out for the rest of the year. And then if things don't change, move on, but stay connected loosely. Keep, I would say reach out as much as you can here and here. But if you don't get anything, just stay in touch with them through email. You'd be surprised how many people would just feel loved. Oh, they're still selling until they unsubscribe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. How do you properly translate fire, passion, vision? You have to youth leaders who are older than you and look at you as like little brother still.
Yeah, I think, well, first off, okay. You have to win people. People are just not going to follow you because you have a title.
Yeah.
Right.
And eventually you make so many changes, there's one or two things going to happen. Either people are going to buy in, or people are going to say, hey, that's not for me. Now, hopefully when you make these changes, all the people say, hey, that's not for me, are all the ones you don't want. No, let's be serious. All right? Before you get in your car, go home, do something, back on the plane, anything, you need to take a line and put it down the middle of that, and this is who I'm willing to fight for to stay, and this is who I'm willing to lose as I make these changes. And that way you know going in, I'm willing to lose these people, right? But then you know going in, I am not going to lose these people. You see what I'm saying? And that way, and I did this. Anytime we made a major shift, I was like, who can come with us along this journey? It's not that I don't want everybody with us. I'm just a realist. Not everybody's going to come with us.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those who thinks, no, I can win them all, you're going to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
You must be new.
Yeah.
Because it does not work that way. I'm telling you. All right? So make a list of who isn't supposed to be with you. Now, as far as this, like, oh, you're younger than your little brother, you know what? Either you need to address that head on, or you just reposition them to a lower or a light influence position. I had one person doing that. Oh, come on, you know, Pastor Chris, you know what I'm saying? We're boys and all that. No, I had to tell him, hey, I'm not your friend. No, we were friends, but no, I'm not your friend. I'm your pastor. And if you want me to be your friend, I can be your friend, but I don't get to be your pastor. So which one do you want?
Well, that's good.
And I'm telling you, I had to come at it that hard. Now, we had a lot of history. I could speak that directly to him. But some of them just wouldn't make the jump. And we'd have that conversation, and they would still treat me like a little brother or whatever. Well, guess what they start? Cafe. No, you're cooking the wings. You're not even selling them. Like, you're making the copies. You're not handing them out.
Oh, that's so good.
Because obviously there's something in you that feels entitled.
Yeah.
And the greatest antidote for that is humility.
Yeah.
So let me help humble you.
Right.
Right? It's better to be humble than have to be humbled.
Yeah.
Right? So I dealt with that really harshly because we have a culture of honor. Not for title, but for each other.
Amen.
And I just don't do that. I don't honor because people earned it or deserved it. I honor because because I'm honorable. That's why I'm an honorable man, so I honor everyone, whether they're saved or not. Satanist or Christian, Jew, Muslim, Catholic, doesn't matter. No matter. I honor them all because I'm an honorable person. Has nothing to do with them. Can you imagine, like, if we only did that for people who earned it or deserved it?
Right.
Like, then Jesus would not have come for us because we did not earn it nor deserve it. But he honors us, right? Does that make sense? There you go.
All right. In leadership, how do you reestablish boundary lines from like leader to friend if it's already been broken or blurred? If you went too far.
You mean
like if I go too far, leading buddy, and now we're best friends?
Okay.
Is there reestablishing?
I think that's going to happen. I had a lot of guys that were on my leadership team that we had that. But I had to tell them, hey, bro, there was times I had to pull them aside afterwards and be like, listen, dude, we're cool. Like, when we go play ball, when we go do stuff, like, I need you to be that guy. It's refreshing to me. But when we're in this environment, I really need you to draft behind me instead of just try to overdo and outgun me. I really need you to draft behind me. Otherwise, this is going to hurt, and I can't keep doing it. Oh, man, I didn't even know I was doing that. I'm so sorry. I just need you to be aware of the environments we're in because I can't have students looking familiar towards me because you get familiar with me.
Yeah.
I allow that to happen. Just like you allow me to be familiar with you, but I can't afford that. Is that it?
Good.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah. Any more questions to text in?
There was one. You had one. Go ahead.
So I had a question in regards to, because we're dealing with seniors in high school, juniors looking to further education, called to the ministry. Talked a little bit earlier about a lot of ministry positions requiring accredited degrees. For ministry even. For my generation, it wasn't that way. So what's your thoughts on that? Like, how would you guide young people in making those decisions, especially ones that are telling you that they feel called to the ministry? Like, how would you guide that and direct that?
So I am the worst example of that. I really am. Let me tell you my journey. I don't know if I said it yesterday, but I literally did not graduate from Christ for the Nations when they hired me to be a director. So I started leading the school that I never graduated from. That's like boss moves right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, go ahead, go you. But let me say this though, eventually I finished because the registrar looked at my transcript and he was a student of mine, a graduate of mine. He said, PC, you never graduated. I'm like, for what? I run the thing. Like, what do I need to graduate? He's like, no, it's the example you're setting.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't realize, man, I could really set people up to fail.
Yeah.
Because people want to take my life, and we never made it public, by the way. We never told our students, he only did 1 year. Because then, you know how students are, well, Pastor Chris only did one year, and look what he's doing. It's the spirit of stupid. So, like, I took a personal responsibility, and I finished my degree. You know how I finished it? Like this.
Right.
I did everything. Oh, my wife texted me. I finished watching every online class I could to finish my degree. I did it all on planes, or I did in hotel rooms, or I did on car drives. I did it all. Took notes, everything, and I finished my degree. It took me 2.5 years, but I finished.
Wow.
So I'm saying all that to say what I'm about to say, all right? Do I believe that education is God? No. Does it make us better and help us go further? Absolutely. There's always the tension, do I go to accredited or do I go to a non-accredited? I think you really need to pray about that. If you're asking, my opinion is I think that accredited will always help you out in the longer run. But thank God there are schools that are raising up right now that are being accredited through the National Collegiate of Education, that are able to offer full-on bachelor, master's degrees, which is what we at Missions Meet College offer. So you can come to our school for 4 to 6 years, or 1, 2, 4, 6 years, and get your MDiv, get your MBA, get your master's nursing, or whatever that's called. I should know that. And something, I wish Kat was here, she'd explain it. She'd be more eloquent about it too. But you can come, you can finish all your bachelor's, all your undergrad, all that. You can do that. Does it help? Absolutely. Absolutely. But then, some people like I would take Cody. Cody's grown up in ministry all his life.
Yeah.
I think if Cody was wanting to come to school, I don't know if accredited would be good for him at that season. I think it would be good for him to do a discipleship track, like a leadership track, and then come back into the church and do distance learning from somewhere. Remember, I keep saying the greatest debt is student loan debt. And thank God for the internet, because now that is hopefully being eliminated. Obviously, you miss out on on-campus life and all that's there. But for me, like, I wanted to give the best of both worlds, so we are a site school of Southeastern University, and we're literally across the highway from the Pacific Ocean. People go surfing on their lunch break.
Wow.
It's awesome. I love our school. Like, my office overlooks the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
It's beautiful. It's absolute. There is no nicer campus in all of America. I promise you, it is right there on the beach, and people come from all over to be there, but they're getting an accredited degree. Get this, for $14,800, and that's including housing.
Wow.
In Orange County, California.
Wow.
That's cool.
Massive, right?
Yeah, we sold our house already. We're coming.
Okay, that's good to know. I can't wait to have you come. And then we started a second track. It's called our leadership track. And this is 11 months of intense discipleship, leadership building, character intensives, and you be on the front lines of all of it. The reason why I'm telling you all this is you really got to pray about what it is. I think both have their place. Christ for the Nations is not an accredited school, but it's been around for 40 years. And people know what we produce, so we overcome the accreditation requirement with just our name. Most schools today do not do that. Bethel might be able to do that. So you're going to need accredited, because what happens if you go through a season and you've got to use your degree to get a job, and you do bivocational work for a season? You're going to want that degree right then and there.
Yeah.
Are you following me? Or are you going to end up in car sales or Uber driving? And I don't want you doing that. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Does that answer the question? So. There you go.
All right, this is an interesting one. From our church administration, how do we bridge the youth gap? Their senior pastor has to keep all ages 11 to 35 under youth ministry.
Oh.
So how do you minister to that whole gap in the same kind of
Wow.
service and keep it relevant to
That's
each?
actually pretty normal, except America.
Really?
Just telling you.
Okay.
It's called generational ministry.
Wow.
Only in America do we minimize the impact of a student. And let me just throw some science knowledge on you for a second, okay? Adolescence, right? This is where hormone changes come, mood swings come, and all these polarities come out in all of our students, correct?
Yeah.
Right? When it was first discovered, it was discovered by a guy named G. Stanley Hall in 1908. And he tracked that adolescence only lasted, get this, it started with girls that started 11, with guys that started 12, and it only lasted 18 months. 18 months, wouldn't that be a dream, right?
Right.
So then I'm fast forwarding, enter in a world war, it expands. Because now they're old enough to die for our country. Enter in a second world war, it expands. Because now they've got so much pressure, mom and dad aren't home because they're in the war effort, and so they're left being a kid because nobody's there to tell them how to be a man and be a woman. So now they're still in their immature state all throughout the world wars. Are you following me? Then we get into Vietnam, and it expands. Because again, they're old enough to die for our country. They can't vote, though. Are you following me? So they're still kept in this kid state. Then you enter in the radical free love movement, and all. Come on, Woodstock was here. You enter in all of this, all right? And then you get into the 80s and the 90s and all of the rebellion of that, and then the turn of the century, the dot-com boom, where you could literally become a millionaire by having a website, and all of that. So now they're coming into money that their maturity level cannot handle. So guess what? It lasted 18 months when it was first discovered in 1908. Today it's 12 years.
Yeah.
And it starts in 12 and it ends at 24. So most
Wow.
people don't start thinking like adults today till they're 24.
Right.
Wow.
All right, so are you seeing this?
That's
Okay.
crazy.
So when we're talking about developing people, remind me of the question because I want to answer this correctly.
How do you minister to them in age-appropriate setting with
35 and on.
Yeah.
You are dealing with a teenager that's 20-something. Yeah. They're man-childs. Women-childs. That's what they are. All right? That's who they are. And I know everybody's like, no, not me, not me. Now, if you're doing that, it means you're immature. Because if you can't point back to your life and like, dude, I was dumb, I thought I was smart, I thought I was right, I thought I knew it all, and you can't be humble enough about it, you're probably still in that phase. It's real quiet up in here also. All right? So, let me say this to you, okay? I'm not trying to put you down, but I want to be real with you. Everywhere else around the world, youth ministry is literally like 12 to 24, if not 30. It is what it is. And they're smart because they take the 20-somethings who all these teenagers want to hang out with, and they start having them mentor all the teenagers.
That is smart.
And then the 20-somethings are learning how to pastor, so that way when they get in their 30s or they start having families, they're already ready-made to go pastors and leaders. So if you look at some of the largest churches in the world, you look at Cash Luna, you look at Dr. Youngie Cho, you look at Hillsong, you look at Lakewood, they have that model.
Wow.
All of them. All of them. All of them have that model. So, spoiler alert, America, they don't stop thinking like a teenager at 18. They stop thinking like one at 24. So if you really want to do young adults ministry, you might want to start about 30. Just trying to help some reality. Yeah.
I think that's why that's so important.
100%, because this will accelerate the maturity level.
Because it gets them to a point when they are in those mid-20s that, hopefully sooner, but they're in that leadership position. Now you're creating leaders to create leaders.
So true. Very true. This is, yes, absolutely.
Any more questions?
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Do you have any advice on establishing a culture of excellence when your church is being run by unpaid staff?
Yeah, I had that. I just raised up my own staff. I would address it and be like, guys, I would tell people, let me tell you what we're competing with. We're competing with Disney World. All right? We're competing with Universal Studios. We're competing with movies. We're competing with every concert. We're competing with, at that point was the Mavericks and the Dallas Cowboys, and everything they do is excellence. But when they come to church, it's sloppy. What's that say about the church? Mexicans, pero the whole thing, right? Mexicans are the worst at this, all right? Especially because they're probably all your family, right? So, I just, if people didn't catch up, I just stopped giving them responsibility, and I raised up my own team.
That's so good.
I'm heartless. I love people, I really do. But I'm not here to babysit you.
Yeah.
And I will not let the reputation of our church be known as sloppy and dysfunctional, and we don't hold a high level of excellence, because I need the Queen of Sheba's of the world feigning at what we do. And if you're not on that train, the next stop is right now.
Right.
So, 100%.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you deal with or establish or pick up a team? Because most of our team is leaving to Bible college this year. So how do we have them?
How is that? Boy, they recruited the junk out of y'all. What school is that? It's not ours, is it? Oh, thank God.
They are going to different Bible colleges, but most of our team, half of our team is leaving to Bible college in the next 4 to 5 months. And so, how do we establish and pick up a bigger team in 4 or 5 months? Like, how would you do that?
That guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I really mean that. Do that. It would raise up leaders. Look, you look at all of this, from start to finish, it's a 3-month process.
3-month process.
So it's in your time frame. All right? And let's be honest, one solid good leader is stronger than like 10, 12, 15 volunteers. 100% of the time. That's why he only had so many mighty men. That's all he needed. Right? Okay. Yes, sir?
So you were talking about the age of adolescence being
Yes, sir.
expanded. So how do we transition our students from out of like high school, college, into like becoming a part of the church? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they want to sort of be siloed in their age group
Yeah.
and almost neglect the different, maybe older age groups.
You pour responsibility on them with reckless abandon. I mean, you just tell them. You're like, how do I mature them faster? You just give them tons of responsibility. A true test of maturity is give people authority. And if they inspire other people with the authority you've given you, they're ready for authority. If they go on a power trip, they're not ready. So give them tons of responsibility, tons of authority, right? And let's see how they handle it. And if they malfunction, they malfunction. It's a great journey point for them. Because I've had a lot, I would say like it's 50-50, 50% malfunction. And then we go into another 3-month cycle of just, okay, let's get you stronger, let's get you more confident there. Give them another opportunity, no problem. But we don't give up on anybody unless they want, like again, I'm not going to work on your life more than you're going to work on your life. But tons of responsibility. Empower students, empower even parents, empower young adults. Give them stuff to do. You'd be surprised what people would be willing to do.
So how do you, if they, say they have a power struggle and they trip and they mess up, how do you?
You want to know what the conversation looks like.
Yeah, what does that look
Yeah.
like? How do you?
Well, first off, you need to buy limitless influence, all right? Number one, okay? But I'll tell you, I would tell them, be like, hey, listen, how are you feeling about how things are going? And I guarantee you they're going to be like, it's going great. And I'm like, well, let me tell you what I see. I'm seeing a trail of dead bodies and holes blown in people. And you started off with this size team, but now you only use these many people because the rest of them don't want to work with you. I see a chink in the armor. And what I need to do is I'm going to pull you back, and I'm going to give you 90 days to fix whatever that is. Because right now it's a power trip. And I want to pull greatness to you. Come on, I'm investing in you. Remember, I'm not indicting you. I'm investing in you. And I need you to reevaluate your heart and why you were taking on this position. And in 90 days, I need to feel like a genius. I need to feel, I call it the I feel like a genius syndrome. I need to feel like a genius as to why I need to have you in this position. And if I don't feel like a genius in 90 days, then we need to look somewhere else, or we just keep journeying further and let's get you to where you need to be so you can thrive. But I need to take 90 days off. Yes, sir.
So how do you properly translate 7th graders into the youth group with, like the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th graders and get them into the culture?
That's a great
Stop
question.
having them act like demons.
Yeah, bro.
They scare me sometimes.
That scared me. Honest, it's a good question, by the way. But you're looking at multi-generational ministry. If you want 7th and 8th graders, like, come on, let's be honest, that's awkward. The gap that we're really losing is that 10, 11, and 12-year-old age gap in the church. We have nothing for it. We don't have preteen ministry. Some churches do, some churches don't. So I would start letting 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th together, 100%. They're already doing that anyways at school. Why wouldn't we do that in the church? So we put them all together. Because a 5th grader is not going to hang out with a 3rd grader.
Yeah.
All right? Unless they're homeschooled. So, and got nobody else. And no, I can say that. My kids are homeschooled. All right? I can say that. So if you got a problem with that, get over yourself. All right? But let's just be honest. It just is what it is. And most of their social outlet's going to be here. But honestly, I think homeschoolers, whether it's homeschool, on-site, online, whatever it is, you got to create a generational pipeline. And so I would start having some of the leader volunteers raise up some leaders, and stop being a sissy and say no to some things. You don't need to be at every football game. You don't need to be at every basketball game. You don't need to be all that. Make one in a month. That's great. They'll love you for it. Woo! Awesome. You were there. Right? But let me tell you something. After transitioning out of a couple churches, one church, you know who stayed with me when I left? Wasn't all the kids. Definitely wasn't their parents. It wasn't any of my staff. You know who it was? My wife and my babies.
Come on. Good.
Who do you need to invest the most time with? Don't listen. Can I be Uncle Chris for a second? Don't be stupid. Invest in people, but listen, don't let your church get the best of you while your family gets the rest of you. Don't let that happen. You need to be giving the best to your family. Can you imagine? And as your best increases, your best better increase at home too. So I do everything. I bring my kids every time I go on a trip. If the ministry doesn't, this mic is taped right here now. You see that? They went from the table to here. You know?
Homeschoolers.
Homeschool. You know what that is? All right. That's a homeschool high five. They ain't got nobody else high five, so. Anyways. I'm like ripping hard on home. No offense. And if you're mad, get over it. So, I honestly, I mean, if your best increases, you really need to increase at home. Don't give some other people another place. Where was I going? I remember where I was going.
Every time you come back home.
Every time, so thank you. Every time I come home, unless the ministry because a lot of times ministers will buy my kids toys. I'll bring those home, or gifts, or gift cards, or something like that. I will stop by, or I will take. Now they're old enough, so like, hey, listen, stop buying me stuff, because all the stuff you buy is like, well, it's terrible. So just take me to the mall. So my bigs, I call my bigs, my 12 and my 10, Elisha and Jasmine, they want me to take them shopping. My littles, my 5-year-old, my 2-year-old, they don't care what I get them, just as long as it blows something up or it's slime, the unicorn poop thing that's real popular right now, the whole thing. So, yeah, y'all don't have kids, y'all don't know. But I always make sure, and here's why, because Daddy doesn't leave you, you send Daddy. And if you're part of the sending, then you're also part of the reaping. All right? You follow me? Do you remember David? Right? He goes and fights, and he leaves some with the camp. They bring back the spoils of war, and there's a dispute. No, the ones who fight should get more. And David's like, no, no, no. Those who were here and not with us are the same as those who are with us. All of us get an equal share. That's a spiritual law. So my kids get to have, watch this, they get to have as much of a reward to them as to Mommy and I. And then I do the same thing for my wife. Same thing for my wife. I make sure my wife, because I'm not there. I can't be dad. Look, I won't be there this whole week. You know how hard it is to get 4 kids ready for school? How hard it is to pick them up from school, get dinner ready, make sure homework's done, make sure they're in baths and bedtime. So I employ help to come and help my wife. That's not because I'm a prosperity preacher. That's because I want to stay married. That's because I want my kids to have godly influences in their life. Now, don't think I have a full-time live-in nanny and we have a private house in the back. I wish. All right? And like I'm telling you, I'm so disgusted with the fact that I rent right now. I can't stand that. I'm not that guy. My mortgage my rent in California is 4 times more than what my mortgage was in Texas. Welcome to my life the last 3 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, the electricity alone. Oh my gosh, it's like swallowing a rhinoceros. I'm going to tell you, like, I do what I can to make sure my kids know that their sacrifice. Your kids are going to pay, I don't know why I keep talking about family, but you need to hear this, all right? Your kids will pay 2 costs in their life. The first cost is the cost they pay for me pursuing my calling. It is my job to reward that cost. Then they will pay a second cost for their calling. It is God's job to reward that cost. Are you following me? So anything that I do that directly affects them, I have to reward them. Or otherwise I'm not operating as a good father. But as they get older and they have now seen, hey, I sacrificed, but I got blessed. Hey, I sent, but it returned. Hey, I sowed and I reaped. Guess what happened? Guess what becomes easier to answer the call of God on their life? Are you understanding me? So, Daddy doesn't leave, you send Daddy. And Erica's constantly like, Daddy's gone. No, Daddy's not gone, you sent him. Dad's not here. It's not that Dad's not here, it's that you sowed him. Oh yeah, what do you think God's gonna give you? I don't know. Maybe an American girl doll. But let me tell you, it helps. It helps. Trust me. I'm just trying to help you be it. You do you, boo-boo, but I'm telling you. All right. All right. Any other questions? Ministry, why? Yeah, go ahead.
How do you make it where your leaders aren't just going through the motions and it's not just another, youth group night for them, that every time they come in, they're like on fire, like ready to, give it all?
That's a great question. Hunger is always a part of our culture. If you're not hungry, there's a problem. The only reason in the natural, when you lose your appetite, it means you're sick. Right? When you get the flu, it means you don't want to eat. When you get the cold, you don't want to eat. So spiritually speaking, if you're not hungry, there's a problem. What's been replaced? What's been broken? What's going on? Where's the hunger at? But you can't expect that from them if you yourself don't do it. Just like the worship thing. All right? If you're not worshiping in the front, they're not going to worship. So culture of hunger is everything. Always say, you always know hungry people because they'll tell you. What do they say? If you're hungry, man, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's the same in the spirit. When people are hungry, they're going to come in and be hungry. Now, we always taught our students in our youth ministry that I don't determine how hungry you are as the pastor. You determine how hungry you are. I just cook a meal. But how much you eat is up to you. You're supposed to come here with a hunger. I'm not supposed to generate a hunger on the inside. Because all I'm supposed to be is the extra gas on the fire that you've been stewarding all week long. I am not here to put together another moment for you to have a spiritual appetite. You need to maintain that. That's called spiritual maturity and discipleship. You need to build that. I can't do that for you. It's got to be discipled in, bro. There's no other way. Can't preach a message and do that. Not all of us are Pastor Rayleigh. And let me be honest with you, even he'll tell you, because I know his youth pastor, even he'll tell you they have to build culture there. 100%. Hunger is a culture piece. So, all right, any other questions? Imagine that.
Story time.
All
I
right.
got one question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so how do you get them to know that it's not one of us that's more important, but we're all partners, we're all people.
That's another great question. Culture. I know I'm not trying to dodge it. I'm telling you, it's culture. Culture of honor. We are all significant. We are all important. We all have a race. We're all in the same space. We're fighting for the same things. We're killing the same lions, bears, and giants. We're tearing down the same walls. We're believing for the same things. We are significant. Culture has to be. You understand culture? Maybe I need to talk about that. Culture, in the definition, it means a way of life. So it's literally the way you do life. So what's your culture? And your culture is built by what you celebrate, what you repeat, and how you live. That's how culture is built. All % of the time. So, buy limitless influence. Buy it. Okay, I'm telling you. You'll buy it. All right. Any other questions? Yes, sir, go ahead. I'm not in a rush. I literally have nothing to do except call my wife after this.
Terrell.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So with our house, a lot of times, when it comes to giving responsibility, we're not really sure exactly what responsibilities to give them. We're more of a show me that you're committed first, and then we give responsibilities. But I really like when we started to talk about, we have, do something, paint walls, and so for our church, if you could, I would love some ideas of responsibilities that we could just give, just to start, right? Because we can't give them everything, but we would love to be able to start giving them.
I think just like with anybody, like a business, if you can't hire somebody on full time, then you need to do them project based. So hey, you're good with Final Cut or whatever it is. What is it? Adobe? What's the one?
Premiere.
Premiere. Thanks. Premiere. Hey, you're good with Premiere. I need you to cut and edit. I need you to cut and edit and film an announcement video for this coming Wednesday or whatever. You're not going to be in the video. I just need you to edit the video. film it and edit it, right? Or, hey, you're good with design, I need you to create a series graphic for this, I'm preaching on this. Hey, you're good with cleaning, everybody's good with cleaning. Hey, you're good with cleaning. I had one guy literally like, no, I have a healing anointing. I'm like, that's cute. I need you to clean the bathroom. No, I'm a healing evangelist. That's the call of God on my life. It's one of our interns or whatever. And no, I have a healing anointing. I'm like, you don't understand. There's a toilet that's sick. I need you to go heal it. Are you following me? I'm grateful I learned to clean the church before I ever learned to preach. I learned to pray before I ever learned to preach. I learned to set up and tear down before I ever learned to preach. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful I learned to stack chairs. Hey, I need you to take 50 chairs out of there. I want the rows to look like this. And 100% of the time it'll be done sloppy the first few times. No, redo it. Well, you know how long that took? I know, and if you would have done it right, it probably would have took less. But now you get to do it again. Welcome to a life lesson.
Praise God.
You're learning. You understand what I mean? Like, yeah, that's exactly right. And you're just walking them through. Menial tasks. Even if it's like, hey, I need you, like one of them drives, hey, I need you to go pick up this, and come on, how many last minute Walmart runs do we do as youth pastors for sermon illustrations, conferences, gatherings? Oh, come on, let's be honest. You don't need to be doing that crap. Have them do that. And you give them budget. Don't ever give them your card. Give them cash. All right? And bring the receipt. If you don't bring the receipt, don't ever come back here. I will find you. All right? Bring the receipt. Every time. Have them do all that. So I find those kind of things.